Hi guys, this is V2 Thomas Clue 8, and today we're gonna do the last world of Braid. But don't worry, this won't be the last part. There will still be some more parts. So without further ado, let's get into it. World 1. At a cafe on a bright plaza, most customers sit back, feeling the warmth of the sun, enjoying their cold drinks. But not Tim. He barely notices the sun, doesn't really taste his coffee. For him, this corner affords a good view of the city, and in the teeterings of the passers-by, in the arc of a shop girl's hand, as she displays tea to an interested gentleman, Tim hopes to see clues. That night at the cinema, fictitious adventurers lunge implausibly across the screen. The audience here is mixed. Some are patrons of the cafe, now sitting excitedly in the plus chairs, eager for another new flavour, for distraction from the boredom of their easy lives. Other seats hold fishermen and farm workers, hoping to forget their toils and rest their hands. Tim is here too, but he's scrutinising the gloss on his lips on the screen, measuring the angle of the plume of a distant helicopter crash. He thinks he discerns a message when the cinema closes and most of the audience strolls down the plaza to the south. Tim goes north. People like Tim seem to live oppositely from the other residents of the city, tide and riptide flowing against each other. Tim wants, like nothing else, to find the princess, to know her at last. For Tim this will be momentous, sparking an intense light that embraces the world, a light that reveals the secrets long kept from us, that illuminates or materializes, a final palace where we can exist in peace. But how would this be perceived by the other residents of the city? In the world that flows contrary-wise, the light would be intense and warm at the beginning, but then flicker down to nothing, taking the castle with it. It would be like burning down the place we've always called home, where we played so innocently as children, destroying all hope of safety forever. Right, so this is World 1. In this world, pretty much everything is backwards, so you have to jump on Goombas' heads to stop them from dying. Doesn't make much sense, but... And it gets slightly harder with each part of the level. This one you have to climb up the ladder, wait for the Goomba to go up there. So there's 3 small parts before the main bit of this world. And this time, the ladder's gone. Oh, whoops. There we go. Yeah, you can climb a small broken bit of the ladder, but it hardly does anything. Oh, whoops. Ah! There we go! Now, this is the final level, Braid. Now that guy looks like he could be the monster who we described in World 2. Some people have also said it's another Tim. Now, this is the main part of the game. We're meant to be rescuing a princess, you know, usual video game trope. But time, as Seawolf20 said in his run at SGDQ 2016, is flowing backwards. So I'm not going to spoil it too much, but things are not as they seem. So yeah, there is a glitch where you can cut the time of the level by about half, but I've never been able to pull it off. Now, she's pulling the levers to assist you in getting to the end of this level, which is quite good. But if you want to get to the end of the level early, then everything you do has to be pretty much perfect. Pull that lever to allow the princess through. Okay, and this is the tricky part. You need to get on top of here, pull this lever, and don't bounce on a Goomba, otherwise you'll lose valuable time, which thankfully I didn't there. See ya? Now we can just climb up here, jump over this piranha plant, wait for this thing to come down. Oh, whoops! Wait for the chandelier to come back up. Hey, you can see the Mona Lisa in the princess's house. Pretty nice detail. And that's about it. Now, as you can see, the princess's curtains are like meant to be modelled after the enemies from the game, and so are the plush toys. And you can even see the Yoshi things. There's the Goomba and the rabbits. And now if we hold shift, doesn't look like anything's happening. It should happen. Maybe if I go faster. There we go. Yeah, so now I have to hold shift for like 2 minutes here. Oh. So yeah, this is where Braid was always great. Turns out that the princess was actually running away from Tim. Doesn't really say what. Oh, and those 2 ladders there were not there before. I'm pretty sure they weren't. Yeah, one theory which I discussed in a previous video was that the game is an allegory of the nuclear bomb testing in the 1940s. But I don't know to what lengths they'd have to do to pull off a game plot that's meant to be like that. But yeah, as you can see, the princess is trying to prevent us, and to some extent even trying to kill us. So yeah, you can't speed up or slow down the time here. Not entirely true, because you can pause it. Oh, and that ladder wasn't there before either. So that adds 3 ladders. And yeah, you remember that Tim in the World 5 painting? There is a theory that states that the knight is him. The one you see in the background. To which this Tim has found the princess, has become a knight in her honour. Yeah, it's just a theory though. And now we return time to its original state, come back here, and we're at the epilogue. Now the green books don't do anything, but there are some secret texts. The boy called for the girl to follow him, and he took her hand. He would protect her. They would make their way through this oppressive castle, fighting off the creatures made of smoke and doubt, escaping to a life of freedom. The boy wanted to protect the girl. He held her hand, or put his arm around her shoulders in a walking embrace, to help her feel supported and close to him amid the impersonal throngs of Manhattan. They turned and made their way towards the Canal Street subway station, and he picked a path through the jostling crowd. Now if we grab this key and go behind the rock. His arm weighed upon her shoulders, felt constrictive around her neck. "You're burdening me with your ridiculous need," she said. Or she said, "You're going the wrong way, and you're pulling me with you." In another time, another place, she said, "Stop yanking on my arm. You're hurting me." So now we just unlock this door. Drop down here. We're on back here. He worked his ruler and his compass. He inferred. He deduced. He scrutinised the fall of an apple, the twisting of metal orbs hanging from a thread. He was searching for the princess, and he would not stop until he found her, for he was hungry. He cut rats into pieces to examine their brains, implanted tungsten posts into the skulls of water-starved monkeys. Ghostly, she stood in front of him and looked into his eyes. "I am here," she said. "I am here. I want to touch you," she pleaded. "Not look at me!" But he would not see her. He only knew how to look at the outsides of things. Go here. He scrutinized the fall of an apple, the twisting of metal orbs hanging from a thread. Through these clues he would find the princess, see her face. After an especially fervent night of tinkering, he kneeled behind a bunker in the desert. He held a piece of welder's glass up to his eyes and waited. On that moment hung eternity. Time stood still. Space contracted to a pinpoint. It was as though the earth had opened and the sky split. One felt as though he had been privileged to witness the birth of the world. Someone near him said, "It works." Someone else said, "Now we are all sons of bitches." I think that's the first time I've even mildly sweared on this channel. Swore. I think this is the first time I've mildly swore on this channel. But anyway, if you go to this green bit and rewind to hear a book close. There we go. I think that was it. She stood tall and majestic. She radiated fury. She shouted, "Who has disturbed me?" But then anger expelled. She felt the sadness beneath. She let her breath fall softly, like a sigh, like ashes floating gently on the wind. She couldn't understand why he chose to flirt so closely with the death of the world. Open this book. The candy store. Everything he wanted was on the opposite side of that pane of glass. The store was decorated in bright colours, and the scent wafting out drove him crazy. He tried to rush for the door, or just get closer to the glass, but he couldn't. She held him back with great strength. Why would she hold him back? How might he break free of her grasp? He considered violence. Now, I've completely forgotten how to do this! I know it involves messing around with these levers. Oh, there we go. They had been here before on their daily walks. She didn't mind his screams and his shrieks, or the way he yanked painfully on her braid to make her stop. He was too little to know better. She picked him up and hugged him. "No, baby," she said. He was shaking. She followed his gaze towards the treats sitting on pillows behind the glass, the chocolate bar, and the magnetic monopole, the Ithram bit, and the ethical calculus, and so many other things deeper inside. "Maybe when you're older, baby," she whispered, setting him back on his feet and leading him home. "Maybe when you're older." Every day thereafter, as before, she always walked him on a route that passed in front of the candy store. So yeah, I'm not going to read the books again when I do the Last World again. He cannot say he has understood all of this. Possibly he's more confused now than ever. But all these moments he's contemplated, something has occurred. The moments feel substantial in his mind, like stones. Kneeling, reaching down towards the closest one, running his hand towards it, he finds it smooth, and slightly cold. He tests the stone's weight. He finds he can lift it, and the others too. He can fit them together to create a foundation, an embankment, a castle. To build a castle of appropriate size, he will need many great stones, but what he's got now feels like an acceptable start. And so, that's the end of the main story. One of my favourite video games of all time. Well, I guess that wraps it up for the playthrough. Hold on! Still got to collect all those stars. So I'm going to finish this part by starting up one of the stars. And it is in World 2-2, the Cloud Bridge. And I am not gonna lie, this star is very, very time consuming. But you have to wait for this cloud to get up, and you have to wait on it for literally 2 hours. I'm not joking. So I'll just set myself up here. And that's the end of this part. I will see you in 2 hours. Bye!